You ever notice how some men cross the age of 60 and suddenly something changes? Not just in their face, not just in their walk, but in the air around them. There's a gravity, quiet, steady, dangerous in the most irresistible way. And women? They feel it before they even understand it. They don't fall for these men because of youth or muscles or the usual cliches. They fall because of something far more powerful, something most younger men don't even know how to wield. And if you're over 60 or close to it, you need to understand the truth. There is a specific thing you do, often unintentionally, that pulls women towards you like a tide you don't even control. Welcome to Psychology of Desire, where we break down the hidden motives, the unseen emotions, and the dark psychological forces that shape attraction. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe, because what you're about to discover doesn't just change how women see you, it changes how you see yourself. See, the world tells you that after 60, men fade out of relevance, that desire becomes something that belongs to younger crowds. But the world lies. Women don't fall for men over 60 because of youth. They fall because of depth. They fall because you've lived enough life to stop performing and start existing. And existing, quietly, confidently, without the hunger for validation, is magnetic in a way you might not even realize. When you walk into a room, you're not competing, you're not chasing, you're not measuring yourself against anyone. You've already survived heartbreaks, victories, losses, mistakes, and the silent nights that came after all of them. That history sits behind your eyes like a secret story only a real woman can read. And when she looks at you, she does read it. Women don't see your age first. They see the emotional weight you carry. They see the man who doesn't panic, the man who doesn't rush, the man who doesn't crumble at the first sign of pressure. Women are drawn to that like moths to a flame they know might burn them, but burn them gently. You, without even realizing it, do something younger men rarely manage. You create emotional safety without saying a word. Not because you're trying to play a role, but because at this stage in your life, you've shed the need to impress. You speak slower because you think before you talk. You listen deeper because you don't need to dominate the conversation. And the way you look at her, steady, unshaken, not desperate, not thirsty, that look tells her she's not being chased, she's being chosen. And that is what she can't resist. There's a psychology to it, a dark one. When a man no longer fears losing a woman, she starts fearing losing him. When you don't cling, she leans in. When you don't rush, she slows down. When you're not emotionally hungry, she becomes emotionally curious. It creates an imbalance that isn't toxic, it's powerful, because she knows you won't beg, you won't break, you won't collapse under the pressure of her beauty or her attention. You've lived too much life for that. You become the calm in her storm, the anchor to her chaos, the silence she wants to crawl into, the man who doesn't need her but still chooses to keep her close. And that paradox, that subtle tension, that is the thing women can't resist in men over 60. You might think age made you weaker, but in the eyes of the right woman, it made you dangerous. You know what most people never understand? With age, a man doesn't lose his power. He refines it. The sharp edges smooth out, the noise quiets, and what's left is something far stronger than youth. A presence that feels earned, not performed. And women, they feel that presence the way you feel the warmth of the sun after a long winter. Slowly, silently, and all at once. When you cross 60, something shifts in your energy. You no longer walk into a room seeking approval. You walk in carrying a lifetime of proof that you've already faced storms most people can't imagine. That subtle shift, barely visible but deeply felt, creates an emotional pull younger men try to imitate but cannot duplicate. Women sense that difference instantly. It's in the way you pause before speaking, not because you're unsure, but because you've learned the value of choosing your words like they matter. It's in the way you no longer react to small things. You respond only to what deserves your attention. And that restraint, that emotional discipline, is intoxicating to a woman who's used to men her age falling apart at the slightest inconvenience. But the real reason women can't resist men over 60 goes deeper, much deeper. It's the way you make her feel seen without overwhelming her. You glance at her, not with hunger, but with understanding. You don't rush the moment. You don't flood her with words. You let her unfold at her own pace, and that patience becomes a psychological seduction in itself. She thinks she's in control of the pace, until she realizes she's leaning closer without knowing when it happened. You speak to her differently, too. Your compliments aren't wild or dramatic. They're grounded, intentional. When you say she looks beautiful, she feels it in her bones, because you don't say it casually. You say it like a man who's seen enough beauty to know what's real. And whether you realize it or not, that authenticity slices straight into her emotional defenses. You also do something dangerous, something younger men can't fake. You give her space, real space, but not the kind that feels like distance or disinterest, the kind that feels like freedom. Freedom to be feminine, to breathe, to soften. Women melt around a man who doesn't cage them, doesn't chase them, doesn't try to own them. The less you cling, the more she attaches. It's a reverse gravitational pull, one of the most powerful dark psychology dynamics in attraction. Your energy says, I'm here because I choose to be, not because I need to be. And that confidence, quiet, grown, lived, hits her harder than any loud charm. But there's another layer, a darker one most men your age don't even know they possess. When a woman is around you, she feels the weight of your past, not in a heavy way, but in a grounding way. She senses you've survived heartbreak without becoming bitter. She senses you've experienced love without becoming blind. She senses you've made mistakes without letting them destroy you. That emotional endurance becomes a kind of masculine warmth, the kind that makes her feel safe enough to let her guard down. You aren't irresistible because of age. You're irresistible because of what age taught you. And whether she admits it or not, she feels more womanly, more desired, more understood around you than she does around men her age who are still trying to prove something. Because you're past proving. You've reached becoming. There's a quiet danger in being a man over 60 who understands himself. Most women sense it immediately, even if they can't name it. It isn't loud, it isn't flashy. It isn't the kind of thing you boast about. It's subtle. It's the invisible gravity that bends the emotional space around you. And the moment she feels it, she knows. This man is different. He is dangerous in a way that tempts her curiosity and awakens a desire she didn't even know existed. You see, women can sense authenticity like a sixth sense. They can smell desperation from a mile away. But a man who has lived, who has endured, who has made peace with his solitude, radiates something they can't resist. Freedom and stability at the same time. And paradoxically, it is that very paradox that makes them drawn to you. You're the calm she wants, yet the unpredictability of your depth keeps her on edge. You don't need her, yet she wonders if she can live without you. That tension, that delicate, intoxicating tension, is magnetic. Think about it. When you tell a story about your life, about mistakes, victories, loves lost, or moments you'll never forget, you do so without seeking sympathy. You speak with a rawness that younger men often lack, a poetic honesty that isn't rehearsed. And in those stories, she sees your soul. She sees the man behind the lines of age, and she feels something ancient, primal, an attraction that bypasses the superficial and lands straight in the core of her emotional being. She notices how you hold yourself, not as a man clinging to power, but as a man who commands it effortlessly. The way you stand, the way your voice rises and falls, the deliberate gestures that hint at both strength and vulnerability. These are signals that speak louder than words. Women read these signals instinctively, and they respond not just with interest, but with a kind of fascination that borders on obsession. Here's the psychological twist most men never understand. It isn't about being perfect. It isn't about showing off wealth, status, or youth. It's about showing her something no one else can. It's about demonstrating emotional depth, emotional intelligence, and self-possession. When she feels that you are untouched by insecurity, that you navigate life with a certainty that she craves, she can't help but lean in. She wants to understand you, to feel connected to that calm, grounded energy, to witness the life you've lived as if it were a map to something she's been searching for. And the dark psychology of it? It's that women are attracted not to the chase, but to the challenge of emotional resonance. They want a man who isn't theirs immediately, who doesn't give himself away too easily, who has layers she wants to uncover. You've lived long enough to stop playing games, yet your mere presence becomes a puzzle she instinctively wants to solve. That mental engagement, combined with your effortless calm, creates an irresistible pull that younger men, eager, anxious, and overbearing, can never generate. You see, over 60, you've learned the truth. Women don't desire men because of age or looks. They desire men who carry themselves as if the world cannot touch them. Men whose experiences have taught them to value themselves and to move through life with an unshakable sense of self. And when you embody that truth, you don't just attract women. You create a magnetic aura they can't ignore, a gravitational field that pulls them closer while leaving them questioning why they're so drawn, so enchanted, so undeniably hooked. And the fascinating part? It's effortless. You don't try. You simply exist, and the world and the women around you cannot help but notice. You've likely noticed it yourself, even if you never admitted it. Women respond differently to a man who has crossed 6 decades of life. There's a weight to your presence now, a kind of quiet authority that younger men only dream of having. It isn't about being loud. It isn't about being flashy. And it certainly isn't about trying to impress anyone. It's about the subtle power of emotional mastery, and it's irresistible. Think about the way you handle conflict now. You don't lash out. You don't overreact. You respond. Every word, every gesture, every glance carries intention. And that composure, women can't resist it. Because in a world full of chaos, they're drawn to a man who doesn't crumble under pressure. A man whose stability makes them feel safe yet curious, calm yet challenged. There's an unspoken lesson in that composure. He's lived, he's survived, he's thrived, and she wants a piece of that strength. But the pull isn't just about strength. It's about the quiet way you show desire without clinging to it. You don't overtext. You don't demand attention. You make her feel wanted, not owned. You exist as a choice rather than a need. And that choice, that subtle, self-assured energy, ignites something deep inside her. Women are biologically wired to notice that kind of power. Not arrogance, not dominance, but the calm confidence of a man who knows his worth, who knows he doesn't need to prove it to anyone. Here's where the darker psychology enters. There's a tension that forms when a woman senses that she cannot control you, that she cannot predict your reactions. Most younger men chase, cling, and expose their fears immediately. But a man over 60 who has mastered restraint, who speaks sparingly, listens deeply, and reacts selectively, creates an emotional imbalance. It's subtle, it's psychological, and it drives her mind into overdrive. She wonders, she analyzes, she becomes emotionally invested, sometimes without even realizing it. And you don't even have to do much to create this effect. Your life experiences, your stories, your calm demeanor, your patience, All of these create an aura of magnetic mystery. She's drawn to it, fascinated by it, addicted to the sense that she's discovering someone profound. And because you do not chase her, she unconsciously begins to chase you. Her mind plays out scenarios, her emotions follow the rhythm you set, and she starts craving the stability and depth that only you provide. Even the way you touch the world matters. Your gestures are deliberate. Your attention is measured. When you speak, she listens, not out of obligation, but because every word matters. She notices the patience in your gaze, the clarity in your voice, the way you make her feel seen without demanding anything in return. It's an emotional seduction far more powerful than any superficial charm, because it's rooted in authenticity, lived experience, and quiet dominance. The paradox is simple. The less you cling, the more she attaches. The less you pursue, the more she desires. The less you need, the more she wants to give herself to the presence you embody. This is the secret that men over 60 who understand themselves wield effortlessly. And women, whether consciously or unconsciously, cannot resist it. You're no longer just a man. You are a force, a living proof that life, experience, and emotional mastery can create something profoundly magnetic. Women feel it. They are drawn to it. They are compelled by it. And the moment they notice, everything changes, not because you tried to be irresistible, but because you simply are. By now, you probably understand what makes men over 60 almost hypnotically attractive. It's not the silver hair. It's not the lines on your face. It's not even the stories you tell, though they add weight to your presence. It's something far subtler, far deeper, something that younger men rarely, if ever, grasp. You have become the embodiment of emotional mastery and lived experience. And women sense it before they even consciously register it. It's in the way you carry yourself, the way you move through the world without desperation. You've stopped performing for anyone, and that freedom, that self-possession becomes a magnet. She feels it. She's drawn to it, often without knowing why. And the more she senses that you are untouchable in your self-worth, the more she wants to lean in, to connect, to be seen by the man who has already seen himself so clearly. This is where many men falter. They underestimate the power of restraint. They forget that less is more, that the subtle gestures, the quiet attention, the slow, deliberate words can pull a woman closer faster than any overt pursuit. When you smile at her, it isn't an attempt to charm, it's a recognition of her essence. When you listen to her, it isn't to impress, it's a reflection of your depth. And when you exist without needing her approval, that is when the magic happens. That is when she begins to realize she cannot resist you. And there's a darker truth beneath all of this, a truth that makes the attraction almost unavoidable. Women are drawn to what they cannot fully control. They are drawn to the calm in the chaos, to the strength behind silence, to the man who knows what he wants but doesn't chase it recklessly. Your age, your experience, your emotional resilience, they create a psychological paradox that she can't solve. She wants you, yet she cannot predict the depths of your mind or the strength of your presence. That tension, that imbalance, is the secret that pulls her in over and over again. You may wonder, do I even need to try? And the answer is no, you don't. The world may tell you that attraction requires effort, but the truth is, when you embody your life's lessons, when you carry yourself with patience, wisdom, and self-possession, you don't need to chase desire. It comes to you. Women can't resist men who have mastered themselves. And over 60, you are at the peak of that mastery. So, take a moment to appreciate the power you already possess. The way you make her feel without words, the way your calm presence pulls her closer, the way your lived experience, emotional resilience, and quiet confidence create a force stronger than any charm, any line, any shallow attempt to impress. You've reached a stage where attraction is no longer about proving yourself. It's about existing as the man you were always meant to be. And when you do that, women can't resist it. Thank you for watching this deep dive into the psychology of desire. If you found yourself thinking, feeling, or even questioning your own presence after hearing this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Here at Psychology of Desire, we explore the unseen, the emotional, the dark psychological truths that make relationships magnetic, complicated, and unforgettable.